do have skills that make me a nightmare for people like you. I will look for you. I will find you.
Well, g'day guys, and yes, of course I do talk to myself if I need expert advice. This is a letter including chronological record of events and what happened on what days, 12 pages long, that I've spent the last few days compiling. This is going to be sent to the New Zealand Police Commissioner, Mike Bush. It's also going to be sent to Stuart Nash, the current sitting Minister of Police, and it's also going to be given to the court as well. In it, I define what's gone wrong and how it got wrong, and describe the fatal flaw. So I'm not allowed to disclose anything that's going on in the case to the general public according to some rule that I read somewhere, and I have read many rules, 80 hours worth of reading, about 1200 pages, 14 different acts that I've read. So, and that's just off the top of my head that I've read to actually look at doing this. There are other acts and like Public Records Acts that I don't even mention in here that I've also looked at. But this is to bring it to their attention. Alright? It's from me. I've supplied all sorts of postal, phone numbers, email. They've got no excuse for not being able to contact me back. Dated today's date, 20th of November 2017. Since 4th May 2017, it was brought to our attention that New Zealand Police Infringement Bureau alleged that our vehicle registration plate number FAM 394 exceeded a temporary speed zone on the Northwestern Motorway on Saturday, the 22nd of April 2017 at 12:15 p.m. Naturally, we are presumed innocent. From the 6,044 vehicles that passed over the 210 minutes or 3.5 hours that day, the operator had detected and logged 762 alleged infringement offences on the deployment registrar applicable to the unmarked Hyundai registration plate number EUR 591. This equates to 29 vehicles per minute, of which 3.6 cars per minute were allegedly speeding, at a minimum ticket of $30, which may range from $30 to $630 per ticket that day. That is $108.85 per minute, or $22,860 for the 3.5 hours parked there. All for appropriations and collection of Crown revenue for the Government Consolidation Fund. According to page 124 of the Estimates of Appropriations 2015-16, Justice Sector Book 5, Volume 7, the Department expected to collect a total of over $86 million of Crown revenue for 2015-16. According to page 88 of the New Zealand Police Budget Report ending June 2016, an actual amount was noted as $80,077,000 that was appropriated. We would point out that of the alleged 762 offences, 0 vehicles ceased to exceed the alleged limit during that time, that day we are aware of. Here is a chronological record of what we have received from Inspector Kelly Ryan of the New Zealand Police Infringement Bureau, Ms Vicky Hicks, and Sergeant Michael McMurtry of Auckland Central Police Prosecution Service. To date, along with our dated responses. 22nd of April 2017, 12:15, alleged offence detected by EUR 591. 29th of April, infringement notice, the blue copy, PR 1058327, $80 fine, with cover note printed 1 May with an email ticket@police.govt.nz, payable within 28 days of 4th of May 2017. On the 6th of May, we received a cover note and notice. See above, 29 April 2017, reference above. On the 8th of May, we respond via PDF attachment to ticket@police.gov.nz requesting a court hearing should New Zealand Police fail to supply evidence of authority, jurisdiction and claim, as to be fully informed to the nature and cause of action. 30th of May, we received within a standard 110 by 220mm DL envelope, inside tri-folded, was a cover note with CRN 1700 417 6889 from Inspector Kelly Ryan of New Zealand Police Infringement Bureau, with the address for contact being Prosecution Section, New Zealand Police, Private Bag 92002, Auckland. Email pps.auckland@police.gov.nz. Attached included 1 copy notice of a hearing in respect of an infringement offence, CRN 1700 417 6889. Note: the summons to defendant was missing any provisions, rules, regulations allegedly offended against. See CPR 2002. CPR stands for Criminal Procedure Rules. Criminal Procedure Rules. 2012 Rule 7.2, subsection 7, subsection again A, and refer to CPA, standing for Criminal Procedures Act 2011, section 17, subsection 5A. 1 times copy, photograph, reference 635 643 561, showing FAN 394 on Northwestern Motorway. 1 times copy of our email to New Zealand Police Infringement Bureau. 1 times copy of our 2-page response dated 8th May 2017. Inspector Ryan stated 2, and I quote this, 2. A copy of the police prosecution file as at today's date, which fulfills the requirements of initial disclosure under the Criminal Disclosure Act 2008, Section 12, subsection 1. This is in fact incorrect. Under the Criminal Disclosure Act, CDA 2008, Section 12, subsection 1, subsection A, summary of facts was not provided. Under Criminal Disclosure Act 2008, Section 12, subsection 1, subsection B, informed of right to apply for further information under subsection 2 was not provided. Under Criminal Disclosure Act 2008, Section 12, subsection 1, subsection C, no mention of maximum penalty not provided. Under Criminal Disclosure Act 2008, Section 12, subsection 1, subsection D, no previous convictions provided. As we were not provided initial disclosure that fulfills subsections 1, subsection A, subsection 1, subsection B, subsection 1, subsection C, or subsection 1, subsection D, we had not been fully informed as to make a voluntary, willing and knowing plea, and thus unacceptable, and misconduct as defined within the Lawyers and Conveyancers Act 2006, Section 7, subsection 1, subsection A, subsection II. 15th of June, we acknowledge via email address pps.auckland@police.gov.nz receipt of their correspondence of 30th of May 2017, and again requested evidence of claim, authority and jurisdiction without further delay as to make a fully informed plea. Furthermore, in accordance with Section 13(1) of the Criminal Disclosure Act 2008, we requested proficiency certificate relevant to the operator of EUR 591 on that day, certificate of accuracy for the detection device used on that day, license status, instrumental authorization, deployment register, daily logbook, notes made at the time of the matter, summary of facts, demerit list, previous history, witness list, evidence supporting a temporary speed sign for that day. We received an automatic response from Auckland pps.office@police.gov.nz on June 15th, 2007 at 2:24 p.m. We received nothing at all in response to our very clear requests. At the time of first appearance, Criminal Procedure Rules 2012, Rule 4.1, subsection 2, subsection A, and Criminal Procedure Rules 2012, Rule 4.1, subsection 2, subsection B, subsection I, were not followed, and the prosecution had failed in its disclosure duties under CPR, or Criminal Procedure Rules 2012, Rule 4.1 completely. This is again unacceptable. 13th of July. We attend Auckland District Court at Courtroom 2 shortly after 2:15 p.m. The matter Police v Keane was called. Note, prior to attending we had given multiple notification to Auckland District Court of our wish to exercise rights expressed and affirmed within the New Zealand Bill of Rights Act 1990 Section 14, which is also verbatim to District Court Access to Court Documents Rules 2017 Rule 12, which is now in force since the 1st of September, don't you know? Note, prior to being heard, the Auckland District Registry sought direction from the presiding judicial officer, His Honour, Judge Tim Black, to have my cameras taken. This was done by being surrounded by 4 security officers while we were threatened and coerced to comply or not be heard. They failed to get all of our cameras, however, and we have the entire interaction recorded both visually and audibly. Note, the court transcript for that matter can be supplied by us if you wish, or you can obtain one yourself alternatively. Note, we were denied points of clarification as to make a fully informed plea, and while holding up an unsigned plea of guilty, willing to sign provided we could be fully informed, Judge Black acted against our wishes, intent and direction and proceeded to enter a deemed not guilty plea. He proceeded to then threaten us with contempt and detainment, and then set a JAT, Judge Alone trial, for November 7th, 2017. A JCC complaint, Judicial Conduct Commissioner complaint, has been filed against Judge T.M. Black on the 14th of July 2017. It's just the day after. No result back on that one yet. Not a bean. Note, at no time were we approached by Ms. Vicky Hicks representing the prosecution, nor were we handed any documents. Initial disclosure must be handed to the defendant at the latest by the preliminary hearing, should you be unaware of this fact. 23rd of July 2017. We repeated our requests of 15th June, see above. Another automatic acknowledgement was received from Prosecution Services 23rd of July 2007 at 10:29 p.m. I get the automatic reply because that's when I sent it. I sent it at 10:30 at night. It's an instant response. It's an automatic response, and it's really good to prove that you've given them the documents. 3 October. We then requested for the 4th time for information, Criminal Disclosure Act 2008, Section 12, Subsection 1, C8 May, 15 June, 23rd of July. However, as we had discovered the automatic acknowledgement was being sent from auckland.pps.office@police.govt and not pps.auckland@police.govt.nz, as specified in the cover note from Inspector Kelly Ryan of New Zealand Police Infringement Bureau dated 30th of May 2017, we chose to send the requests this time to both email addresses. Another automatic response from auckland.pps.office@police.govt.nz at 11:54 a.m. was received. On the Now we're up to the 6th of October. We finally receive a response from Ms. Vicky Hicks stating, quote, all disclosure is forwarded from either our Criminal Justice Support Unit or directly from the officer in charge of the case. I will forward your request to the officer in charge who can attend to this. Note, we respond to Ms. Vicky Hicks on the 6th of October 2017 to auckland.pps.office@police.govt.nz only and received no automatic response. 11 October. We received via post an A4 sized envelope without any identifiers of any sender. Inside were the following: 1 times brief of evidence, unsigned, see Criminal Procedure Rules 2012 Rule 2.2, by an unsworn police employee, Keith Stubley, whom we presumed to be the witness. Note, this undated brief has no mention of the defendant or FAN 394 anywhere within it. No cover note or mention of Criminal Disclosure Act 2008 Section 13(1). And this brief is also what was supplied to us on the 11th. Oh yes. 1 times copy of Certificate of Competency for QID KSDF 21 Keith Stubley. 1 times copy of Certificate of Accuracy for Redflex radar equipment. 1 copy on my deployment register, because he's put on mine and not of my deployment register, on Saturday the 22nd of April 2017 for QID KSEM 71. Note, the QIDs do not match. Note, also supplied but not mentioned in brief was the instrument of authorization. Note, under Criminal Disclosure Act, Section 13(1), given a plea of deemed not guilty was forced upon us, this is not a reasonably practical time frame, as even though our repeated requests for 4 months, Criminal Procedure Rules 2012 Rule 2.10 subsection 2 does not apply, due to any implied presumption being expressed to the contrary numerous times. That little rule there says that if you don't object or respond back to them asking for more information, it's considered served. It's considered you're all okay with it. In other words, your silence is acquiescence to them. I already know that trick. Again, Criminal Disclosure Act 2008 Section 12 subsection 1 must be supplied within 15 days of summons, and Criminal Disclosure Act 2008 Section 13 subsection 1 must have been no later than by hand at first appearance 3 months earlier. Other rules, disclosure and procedures not complied with are: 1. Criminal Procedure Rule 2012 Rule 7.1 subsection 9, as the register has no record of our correspondence from 15th of June, 23rd of July, 3rd of October, supplied for the permanent record by the prosecution, although we supplied this to the register independent of the prosecution. Curious that they don't have it, isn't it? Perhaps the registrar needs a looking at. 2. Criminal Procedure Rules 2012 Rule 7.2 subsection 7 subsection A, no provisions on the charging document refer to CPA 2011 section 17 subsection 5 subsection A, and that's the Criminal Procedure Act 2011. 3. The Criminal Disclosure Act 2008 section 13 subsection 1, full disclosure failed to be provided within a reasonable time frame. 4. Criminal Disclosure Act 2008 Section 13 subsection 2 subsection A, failure to provide standard information. 5. Criminal Disclosure Act 2008 Section 13 subsection B subsection I, failure to give reason for refusal. 6. Criminal Disclosure Act 2008 Section 13 subsection 3 subsection E, failure to provide list of exhibits. 7. Criminal Disclosure Act 2008 Section 12 subsection 1 subsection A, failure to be fairly informed. 8. Criminal Disclosure Act 2008, Section 12, Subsection 1, Subsection B, no summary of the defendant's right to apply under Subsection 2 for further information. 9. Criminal Disclosure Act 2008, Section 12, Subsection 1, Subsection C, failure to inform the defendant of the maximum penalty. 10. Criminal Disclosure Act 2008, Section 12, Subsection 1, Subsection D, failure to supply demerit, criminal or traffic history. Time of second appearance: 7 November 2017 at Auckland District Court, Courtroom 11, from 9:30 a.m. until 3:30 p.m. 7th November. Prior to being heard, Police Prosecutor Sergeant Michael McMurtry attempted to offer us some paperwork consisting of 1 summary of facts POL 262, 1 demerit and licence suspense and history report, and 1 criminal and traffic history note, all of which we should have been provided by 13 July, 4 months earlier. Note, Sergeant McMurtry was politely told we did not know what that was, referring to the documents in his hand, nor wished to receive it from him at this stage. Upon first being heard by Her Honour Judge Nicole Mathers at approximately 9:45 a.m, we explained that we would be happy to enter a plea should we have been fully informed of the cause and nature of the proceedings, to which Sergeant McMurtry did not comprehend, it appeared. Just, what do you mean? You're a fucking idiot, you don't know your own rules. Judge Mathers then proceeded to attempt to inform us by reading the charge sheet and then noticed there was no provisions on the charging document. Such as Section 40 and Section 133, Land Transport Act 1998 and Regulations 3 and 4 offences, and Penalties Regulations 1991 and 5.1 Road Users Rule 2004. Judge Mathers then instructed Sergeant Mike McMurtry to check the procedures, rules and regulations that were apparently not followed, referring to Rule 2.1 Summary Proceedings Rules 2012, Summary Proceedings Act 1957, Section 21 and Section 204. Judge Mathers then briefly stood down the matter and we were escorted to the duty lawyer's area level 1 and a duty lawyer was sought for us. At this point, Sergeant McMurtry offered the documents again, which we accepted. After a brief conversation with a duty lawyer, we do not recall his name, and a review of our records and what had just been handed to us, the duty lawyer stated that this was a fatal flaw, failure to follow due process and fraud. This got my attention somewhat. We reconvened around 11:15 a.m. after a brief discussion again with Judge Mathers, and after Sergeant Mike McMurtry tried to blame the registry for the error on the filing, Judge Mathers appointed an amicus curiae, Roger Chambers, to advise her. She requested that we spoke with Roger Chambers prior to again reconvening back after lunch at 2:15. We had lunch, returned back to Auckland District Court at 1:30 p.m. and proceeded to Level 1 Criminal Counter, where CSO or Court Services Officer or Court Security Officer Grant was waiting with Roger for us to arrive. Grant called out to us and introduced Roger to us. We spoke with Roger for approximately 40 minutes, then returned to Courtroom 11 for the 12:15 reconvening. Note: While we were talking with Roger, an independent member of the public had overheard Sergeant Mike McMurtry and another officer, later identified by Sergeant McMurtry to be a Sergeant Ian Horsley, discussing this matter outside the courtroom. According to this member of the public's recollection, Sergeant Horsley had stated that he had called Wellington and then said to Sergeant Mike McMurtry, "He's lying, he's got them, he's lying, we just can't prove it." From this point onwards, with both sergeants knowing that the prosecution cannot provide evidence of service a disclosure index or witness list dated from May. According to the Criminal Disclosure Act 2008, Section 12, subsection 1, this information is presumed served unless evidence to the contrary can be provided, as we can provide by way of automatic response emails from police prosecutions on the 15th of June, 23rd of July, 3 of October and 10 of October, and one from the Infringement Bureau on the 8th of May, confirmed by our records. And given this information from this member of the public, we deem it to be unlawful to conspire to prosecute without the burden of proof being beyond a reasonable doubt. Refer to the Crimes Act 1961, Section 310, Section 66, subsection 2, Section 116 and Section 108. That's perjury. Once back inside courtroom 11 at 2:15 p.m, we were told by Sergeant McMurtry that failing to disclose the information to me was not his fault, and stated it was Inspector Kelly Ryan's error. Furthermore, Sergeant McMurtry blamed human error. What do you think an alleged speeding offence is? Sergeant McMurtry also stated the email address supplied was incorrect, to which we asked, if the email, see 30th of May 2017, was incorrect, why did New Zealand Police supply it for contact? Fair question. Then we were asked by Sergeant Ian Horsley if we had seen these documents, showing me a page with the LTA header on it, Land Transport Authority, which we replied no. Sergeant Horsley then attempted to play word games, and when we asked who he was, he stated he was Robot. This happened prior to reconvening before Judge Mathers entering the courtroom, and the same member of public previously mentioned with him had also witnessed this. Once in session, Sergeant McMurtry misled the court by stating that he did not know why we did not have the documents or information which should have been supplied to us. Pardon me. Criminal Disclosure Act 2008, Section 12.1. That's called initial discovery, or initial disclosure. Implying that we had been served properly, knowing full well that the prosecution could not provide evidence of this service happening. We objected and then supplied to the court 4 letters we had sent to New Zealand Police Infringement Bureau and Police Prosecution Service, showing our 4 separate requests over 5 months to be fully informed and requesting itemised documents. See 8 May, 15 June, 23 July, 30 of October. As we did not have the automatic responses with us at that stage, at that time, we informed the court we could happily provide them for permanent court record. Note, the registry should already have them, as we'd already supplied them some, if not all of these, to Rita Lopez on Auckland District Court. During court, Sergeant McMurtry, Mike, stated that this happened all the time. Nobody questions it. They just pay. This shocked us and others in the courtroom. Judge Mathers then stood down the matter until 9 February 2018. Judge Mathers also made a Criminal Disclosure Act 2008 Section 30 fucking order to Sergeant McMurtry to produce documents that we had still not been provided within 7 days from the 7th of November. He didn't like them apples. After the hearing, we were approached by the member of the public who had clearly heard the sergeant's conversations previously mentioned within, with regards to impugning our good name and stating they just can't prove it. Note, this disgusted us at the time and still does presently. We requested and acquired the member of the public's contact information that had witnessed the prosecution's conversation and thanked her for bringing this to our attention. She has indicated to us that she will reattend also on the 9th of February next year. Note, the amicus curiae, Roger Chambers, stated It looks like Judge Mathers will dismiss this matter, as we can clearly articulate and show the many failures due to process of law, procedures, rules, regulations and disclosure committed by the New Zealand Police Prosecution Service to date. 13 November 2017. We receive an email from michael.mcmurtry@police.govt.nz at 7:08 in the morning. He states to please find attached disclosed past tense documents as discussed and requested at the JAT Judge Alone trial on the 7th of November 2017 before Her Honour Judge Mathers. Note, during the 7th of November 2017 we had requested copies of the disclosure index and witness list which had still not been provided at this stage. At that stage. Sergeant McMurtry continues to state, this disclosure consists of list of witnesses and exhibits, demerit points history, criminal and traffic history, certificate of proficiency for camera operator Keith Stubley. Note, his name is Keith as in Kai-Eith, K-I-E, not Keith as in K-E-I. Notice of hearing, brief of evidence for camera operator Keith Stubley, and indication of what he will say in evidence, that he was there that day. What does that have to do with me? Or my car for that matter? Huh? Could write you a note telling you I was on the moon. What the shit? Note, no mention of FAN or the defendant within this brief of evidence whatsoever. Certificate of accuracy for the camera, instrument of authorization for the camera, deployment register relevant for the day of the alleged offence. Photograph of the vehicle, alleged to be speeding. It is a black and white from scanning, but you have a colour copy already. Yeah, it's one of the few things I got right from the get-go. Summary of facts. All good. New Zealand Transport Authority documentation pertaining to the particulars of the ownership used to identify the registered owner. Note, there are 2 registered owners. Hardly beyond a reasonable doubt, is it? He stated this satisfied the requirements of CDA, or Criminal Disclosure Act 2008, Section 13s and Section 14, and the Section 30 order made by Her Honour. As we had still not had supplied the particulars of witnesses referred to Criminal Procedure Act 2011, Section 159, and the witness list, purportedly already supplied by the prosecution, appeared to have been created post-November the 7th. We responded supplying examples of forms POL 275, which is a particulars of witness, and POL 2124, which is a disclosure index, requesting for these items still not supplied. In reply, Sergeant McMurtry confirmed he had created the witness list supplied on the 13th of November 2017 by using MS Word. See Crimes Act 1961, Section 113. Fabricating evidence. Furthermore, he stated that he is not required to use pre-formatted forms and that we should not have an example of POL 275. Really? Note, we had been supplied this document 2 years earlier by NFW 030, Senior Constable Neil Winterbottom of Warkworth. My old mate Neil. Within disclosure documents in a matter in 2015. Sergeant McMurtry continued to state that being supplied this POL 275 from NFW 030 was an offence under Criminal Disclosure Act 2016, Section 16, subsection 1, subsection F and subsection M, which NFW 030 should not have disclosed. Naughty Neil! I wonder if the time on that fucking little charge has exceeded yet. Sergeant McMurtry, moving on, Sergeant McMurtry also stated he had seen a reminder notice on my file during court November 7th, to which we informed him he was seeing things and to seek help. As the procedure prescribed under the Summary Proceeding Acts 1957, Section 21, Subsection 8, Section 21, Subsection 2, Subsection B, Section 21, Subsection 12, Subsection B, and Section 24, Subsection 1, Subsection A, we are certain there are others, were never completed, followed, or issued, such as a reminder notice. For him to see something that has never existed, filed or certified by a registry, would suggest doing so, yes? Get help, buddy. Don't look now, there's a unicorn behind you. After pointing this out to Sergeant McMurtry, he then rephrased his claim to what he believed to be a reminder. As the procedures failed, his belief is of no consequence. As we have to date, since 7th of November, spent over 80 hours researching, preparing documents and forensically examining each document supplied by the prosecution, the procedures with respect to infringement offences appear to have a fatal flaw. The fatal flaw. As we initially requested a court hearing on only 9 days after the issuance of the alleged speeding ticket, the blue copy, refer to Summary Proceedings Act 1957, Section 21, Subsection 2A, the reminder notice is never issued under Section 21, Subsection 2, Subsection B, as it is less than 28 days. Due to this, the provisions are not transferred to the charging document from the reminder notice, and it is the reminder notice that first informs the registered owner of the vehicle of which provisions, regulations and rules the defendant allegedly offended against. There appears to be 3 possible chances a defendant can be informed of these provisions. They are, firstly, the reminder notice, pink copy. Secondly, on the charging document. Thirdly, and they get it from the reminder notice, so if it's not on the first one, it's not going to be on the second. And thirdly, within the summary of facts, which I got in November. Some 7 months, we'll say 6 to be generous, some 6 months since the thing was filed. As everything we state is backed up with empirical facts and evidence, we leave little for presumption or assumption to exist. Instead of New Zealand Police Prosecution Services, namely Sergeant Michael McMurtry, chose to accept no responsibility for prosecutorial misconduct that has been self-evident, Sergeant McMurtry and Sergeant Horsley chose to conspire to unlawfully continue to prosecute us without evidence to satisfy the criminal standard of beyond a reasonable doubt, or without supplying the defendant information that we are entitled to. The fact that Sergeant McMurtry fabricated a witness list which should have already existed on the permanent court record implies an attempt to mislead the court and perverts the course of justice. This equates to a miscarriage of justice and fabrication of evidence. Note, Sergeant McMurtry has stated it is not evidence, yet it is listed as an exhibit. Furthermore, to lead the court to believe that the disclosure had been supplied when knowing we just can't prove it, amounts to perjury. See Crimes Act 1961 Section 108. In summary, as of today, 20 November, we are preparing documents and motions for the court on 9 February 2018. And should it not be dismissed, we shall happily defend ourselves against this allegation, as we have many questions for all involved. We have sought further legal information and legal advice and are awaiting referrals to specialists dealing with all that is described above, such as conspiring, Crimes Act 1961 Section 116 and Section 310, perjury, Crimes Act 1961 Section 108, fabricating evidence, Crimes Act 1961 Section 113, miscarriage of justice, misleading the court, many procedural breaches, prosecutorial misconduct, Lawyers and Conveyances Act 2007, Section 7, subsection 1, subsection A, subsection I, and Section 7, subsection 1, subsection A, subsection II. We will be furthermore filing motions to dismiss, see above failures in summary, and submissions of evidence pursuant to CICCA 1967 Section 12, that is, Costs in Criminal Cases Act 1967 Section 12, to seek costs under the Costs in Criminal Cases Act 1967 Section 5 and Costs in Criminal Cases Amendment Regulations 2013. Legislation, rules, procedures, etc. referred to within this correspondence are Summary Proceedings Act 1957, Summary Proceeding Rules 2012, Criminal Procedure Act 2011, Criminal Procedure Rules 2012, Criminal Disclosure Act 2008, Lawyers and Conveyances Act 2006, District Court Access to Court Documents Rules 2017, Land Transport Act 1998, Offences and Penalties Regulations 1999, Road User Rule 2004, Crimes Act 1961, Costs in Criminal Cases Act 1967, Costs in Criminal Cases Amendment Act 1990, New Zealand Bill of Rights Act 1990. Note, as we have received a large amount of public interest in regards to this matter to date by the 1,300 subscribers on our YouTube channel, CKA Mark of the House of Keene, see the link here. With well over 500,000 views to date accumulated, we would suggest that something be done quickly to correct this large number of failures noted within this correspondence. The comments with regards to the $80 ticket series do not hold the judicial process or police prosecutions in high regard at all. The public trust and confidence with the judicial process would appear to be non-existent. We would add, however, that personally Her Honour Judge Mathers has somewhat restored ours. We shall look forward to the next public hearing in this matter set for 9 February 2018 at 9:30 AM. Be there or be square. And a successful outcome in our favour. Thank you in advance for your attention to this matter. Notice all correspondence and conversations shall be published on multiple public forums in the interest of transparency and accountability consistent with rights and freedoms affirmed and expressed within the New Zealand Bill of Rights Act 1990 Section 14. Take them fucking apples. Notice all discussion with duty lawyer, amicus curiae, Sergeant McMurtry and Sergeant Horsley have been audio recorded. Warm regards, me, myself and I and the horse I rode in them. Alright guys, so that is getting sent in to, as I said, Mike Bush, Stuart Nash and Chris Penk, who is the local MP out this way. These are their rules that they're walking all over. For them to send cover notes saying that this, this is completes what is required for their initial disclosure, and they send me a photo. They're not telling me the maximum penalty. They're not telling me the criminal history or sending me my criminal history or traffic history. They're not telling me that I have the right to ask for additional information under subsection 2. They're not doing any of that shit. And then when you ask them, the incompetence and the ignorance of these fuckheads that think they get to run everything is their undoing. How stupid do you have to be when you are emailed stuff time and time again to just blatantly ignore it? And I would point out there's little failure notices on the back of on the bottoms of those letters. We already have a tacit agreement that New Zealand police have no fucking evidence. Because you didn't respond. Anyway. Wife's a little worried about me because I haven't had a lot of sleep in the last near 2 weeks. Looking through all of this shit. Clearly, by the information I've supplied on that letter, and authored, and signed, because I stand by what I say, because I don't talk bullshit, I don't use presumptions and assumptions and belief, I use empirical facts and evidence. The witness list that Mikey Boy decided to create after November 7th fatally states at the bottom of it, for the court proceedings of the 9th of February 2018. That date was not even accepted as a fixture date until the 7th of November. To try and imply that that witness list in any way, shape or form had existed beforehand, and now he's verified that via email, they should have been able to supply me a disclosure index. I tell him, anything you say can and will be used against you. Does this not sound familiar? You hold their feet to the fire. You look at what they're claiming. Claiming I had full or initial disclosure. Fuck right off. That did not happen. It's taken a lot of extra stress and effort to go through all of their rules and procedures just to find out exactly, and I haven't finished yet by far, just to find out exactly how much they've done. I've still got motions to write up to have this shit dismissed, and I've got motions for costs to submit. And no, I didn't actually set out to do this. I was just trying to understand the nature and the cause of the proceedings. It is thanks to Judge Nicole Mathers pointing out to me that there was no provisions, and then in front of me raking out the prosecution what rules to go and check. Well, I went and checked them too, and so fell the snowball down the hill. Because of that, I went and researched again the initial disclosure. I saw what the fuck had gone on here. I am so rigidly fucking anal. If you shoved a lump of coal up my ass in 2 weeks you'd have a diamond. I am so fucking analytical that I will go through to the nth degree everything that should be done. But to be able to do anything in this world, be it renovate an old CF Bedford 1984 ambulance into a play toy, get the bench, the stereo, 240 volt plus inverters all set up, inverters in the car, because I comprehend that all I lack is the knowledge of the process to do it. Well, guess what? Now I've got somewhat of a major grasp on the process and procedures and rules of the criminal procedures. Created amongst it, guys. Really have. Enough of my rant. This obviously has gone on now for almost an hour or so. I wanted to put this on video record as well as having it on that record. I'm still going to produce this. I'm still going to upload it. It's going to be probably part 13 or 14 by this stage. None of this will be released until after February next year, at the conclusion of the hearing. Hopefully it's not going to lag on for any further or any more than that. I want to settle this matter and get it over and done with. Everybody goes, why don't you just pay? There's 80 million reasons why I don't just pay. There's 4.5 million people on New Zealand. There's another reason why I don't pay. Because everybody needs to do this instead of just being so fucking she'll be right Kiwi type attitude. Sure bro, she'll be good. No. Everybody wants to complain about the system. Nobody wants to make any efforts to try and fix the fucking thing. And the way to correct the system is to look at how it is structured and see where the failings are. It is the same with anything. If my car overheats, I look at the cooling system. If it won't start, it's either fuel or spark. You know, it's simple processes. When you get up in the morning, you put your underpants on first, then you put on your clothes. Everything has a step-by-step process. It may be hard, but life's never easy. So, get with it, people. Anybody that wants to talk to me, feel free. You can contact me on 027 531 4470. Okay? If you want to have a chat, go right ahead. Till then, guys, and until February, I know what I'm going to be working on. As it stands, I have a stack about yay high of paper so far to take in on February to show how much work I've put into this. You know, this is just an example of what I've looked through in the last week. Alright? It's just an example. And that stack's just going to get bigger and bigger by the time I'm done, because due process of law isn't even being followed. Full disclosure, initial disclosure, procedures, none of it is being followed to the standards set out in their own rules. So they should get their shit together. That is all. Peace to all. Hope you enjoy this. Sorry I look like shit. These things happen.
I don't know who you are,